Hi, I'm sure all of us climbers are eating healthy. God damn. God, that looks so good. And training hard. I'm here to give you 6 more exercises that you probably don't do that will definitely increase your gains. Many other YouTubers have already covered common stuff like pull-ups and push-ups and fingerboard exercises, so I'm not going to do those today. But these exercises we're going to be doing today are incredibly useful for climbing. Alright, exercise number 1. So this one is going to be quarter levers. I first learned about quarter levers from Dr. Tyler Nelson on Instagram, and I think they are one of the most underrated exercises for rock climbing in general. Now most of you know the front levers. Front levers are a super popular climbing exercise because they use your lats and your core, which are both really important for rock climbing. However, in climbing you're not usually in that full body parallel position to the ground, so you're usually not at that big of an angle. Quarter levers are surprisingly difficult. Quarter levers are basically where you go into a quarter of a lever. Now you can increase that, you can do half a lever, 3/4 of a lever, whatever difficulty feels right for you, and it shows you how you should be using your core when you're climbing a overhang problem. Second up, we got the hollow body hold. Hollow body hold is an exercise I use with a lot of my clients for personal training outside of rock climbing, but it's a really good core exercise for rock climbing. You can kind of think of it like doing a plank but you're upside down. You can feel your core a lot more. Make sure you're squeezing in your core, and you can adjust the difficulty by just moving your arms back overhead. You can also hold a weight, pull a weight behind your head. You can also put one on your legs, but I don't find that that's really necessary a lot of the time for this exercise. Third on the list, I have Doorframe face pulls. Now I got this a long time ago, I think, from X on YouTube. Basically just stand in a door frame. You can do this with any door frame. Put your elbows on the outside of it and pull back. You want to really try and use your posterior deltoid. That exercise doesn't get worked a lot for climbers. This exercise is typically done in the gym with a rope on a weighted pulley system, but if you don't have that at home, that's totally fine. This will work pretty well and is a good way to train that muscle so you can pull your shoulders back while you're climbing. Now, moving on to the legs. So some people recommend doing stuff like squats or one-legged squats, and those are really good if you don't have much leg strength. But I would argue that hamstrings overall would be just as important for climbers. Working them is a good way to keep your hamstrings safe, but also to keep your feet on bad footholds, because you can really dig in your toe and pull back on it using your hamstring. So this next exercise I call hamstring pull-ins. This one is probably a lot harder than it looks because you're not using any weight, but you do have the resistance of your body. So you'll lay on the ground, put both feet flat on the ground, and pull back with your legs. You really want to try and squeeze your hamstrings, so don't just kind of throw your legs back. Really try to be pushing your feet against the ground and creating that resistance. Definitely use socks on the floor. You can do this on the carpet, and if you want to make this harder, you can do it on one leg. At the gym, I'd always do this with my clients using an exercise ball, which I think is a lot less awkward, but this definitely works really well, and if you really focus on the exercise, it'll get a good burn. Make sure you're keeping your hips up off the floor when you do this, and really try to keep them as high as you can, which will put more pressure down through your feet. The next exercise is also a leg exercise. This one's going to be hip raises. So you can do hip raises with 2 legs. It's going to be probably way too easy for most people though with 2 legs if you don't have any weights. Typically I'll do these at the gym with a pretty heavy barbell, but if you don't have any weights you can do them with 1 leg, and this is surprisingly hard. So just lift your other leg up off the floor, and if you keep it over your hips it'll create more body weight in general that you're lifting, but either way you'll just press up with 1 leg, lift your hips as high as you can into the sky, and really try to squeeze your glutes. And the last exercise I'm going to be talking about is a weird one, but it's rice bucket exercise. I first heard about this a few months ago on Esther Smith's, I think is her YouTube channel, and this is a really good workout for your forearms. You kind of dive your hand into a bucket of rice, and there's a few different exercises that you can do. I like to work the antagonist muscles of your forearm for climbing. So climbing, you do a lot of flexor grips, just pulling down and squeezing, but you don't do practically any extension. So this tends to be really weak for a lot of people, and that can create tendinitis issues or at least amplify them, especially if you're not stretching those flexor muscles. Two of my favorite exercises for this are basically diving your fingers into the rice and then expanding them while your fingers are in the rice, and then pulling out and then doing it again, expanding out, again and out. And then another one, you can kind of leave them on the surface and just flick out really fast and go back in. You can do this one pretty fast, and if you go a little bit deeper, it'll get harder. And you can get a pretty good forearm pump doing this. You don't want to work it too hard. Like with anything, it's really easy to just sit there all day and do this. But I'll just typically sit down either before or after a hangboard session and do this for like 5 to 8 minutes while watching a TV show. I hurt my TFCC while climbing. I use this as part of my healing process for my wrists. All the stabilizer muscles around my wrists are really weak, and just doing a bunch of exercises with this really helped out a lot. And I'll link the video, and there's other exercises, and there's plenty of exercises online that each have a different purpose. Hope you guys like this video. Leave a like if you like it, subscribe if you want to, and drop a comment on what you think about these exercises and maybe other exercises that you like to do. Stay safe, stay healthy.